What's up, guys? Doing this again. Another NBA overview for the games. Before I get into it, like, comment, subscribe. You know, all that YouTube stuff that really helps me out. And I'm going to get into it now. To start off, we had a game that was postponed, being the Washington Wizards at the Detroit Pistons. And next up, we had the Orlando Magic at the Boston Celtics. That game was 97-124 in the Boston Celtics' favor. They are now 8-3. The Magic are 6-6. On the Magic side, Aaron Gordon had 17. Bacon had 15. Vucevic had 15. And Cole Anthony had 15. Off the bench, Birch had 12 and Terrence Ross. Usually their scoring burst off the bench went 3 for 11 from the field and only had 6 points. On the Celtics side, Jeff Teague had a great game with 17 points. Marcus Smart had 14, and Jaylen Brown had 21. Semi Ojeleye had 18 off the bench, and Pritchard, who's been having an outstanding season in my opinion so far, had 16 points. They did not play Jason Tatum, but the Celtics win 124-97, and the Orlando Magic are now 6-6. The Boston Celtics are 8-3. Moving on to our next game, being the New York Knicks at the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Knicks lose a close one, 103-106 to the Cavs. Julius Randle had 28. RJ Barrett had 20 points. Elfrid Payton had 9 points. And off the bench, the rookie Obi Toppin, with a quiet season so far, had 2 points. And quickly off the bench had 23 for the Knicks. On the Cavs side, the team with 37 centers, Larry Nance Jr. had 14. Cedi Osman had 25. Andre Drummond had a great game with 33. Dotson had 13, and Isaac Okoro had 13. And off the bench, they only had 2 people score, that being JaVale McGee and Stevens, who had 6 and 2 respectively. The Cavs win that one 106-103. The Knicks are now 5-8, and the Cavs are 6-7. The Knicks are now starting to fall off where the Knicks usually go, but 5-8 isn't bad for the Knicks. That's not horrible. If they start to play well, they might actually have a shot at playing in some postseason basketball. Moving on to our next game, a really good game in my opinion, the Dallas Mavericks at the Milwaukee Bucks. Kristaps Porzingis, of course, is back. He put up 15. Luka Doncic had 28. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 22. Off the bench, Joe Johnson had 13. Not Joe Johnson, but that's another Jay Johnson, had 13. Trey Burke had 13 off the bench as well. And on the Bucks side, Giannis Antetokounmpo had 31. Chris Middleton had 25. And Drew Holiday had 16 off the bench. Thanasis Antetokounmpo had 5 points. Bobby Portis with 8. And DJ Augustine with 7. The Bucks win that one in a close game, 112-109. They're 9-4. The Mavericks are 6-5. They'll start to win games now that they have Porzingis back. He needs to get back in the game shape, of course, but once he does, they'll start to roll. And yeah, that's a good one for the Bucks. They're 9-4, 6-1 at home. And we're going to move on to a postponed game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And up next, we have a Chicago at OKC game that went into overtime, where Zach LaVine had 35. Kobe White had 22. Wendell Carter Jr. had 16. Patrick Williams had 14. And Lauri Markkanen had 16. And they still lost 125-127. And that is because their bench production was awful. No one scored more than 8 points off the bench. And they only had 4 people score off the bench. On the Oklahoma City Thunder side, they also lost because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander put up 33. Lou Dort had 21. Roby had 14. Off the bench, they had Mike Muscala score 11. Maladon had 10 and Williams had 14. They win that one 127 in overtime, 127 to 125. And we have our last postponed game. The Golden State Warriors at the Phoenix Suns was postponed. Now we're going to move on to the Atlanta Hawks at the Utah Jazz, where the Jazz won this one 116-92. The Hawks didn't really come close, with Trae Young only scoring 4 points. Cam Reddish had 20, John Collins had 13, DeAndre Hunter had 14, and Clint Capella had 16. But without Trae Young scoring, they had no chance of winning this. The Jazz, Royce O'Neal had 7, Bogdan Bogdanovic had 17, Rudy Gobert had 15, Mike Conley had 15, and Donovan Mitchell outscoring Trae Young 26-4. They win that one 116-92. The Jazz are now 8-4, and the Atlanta Hawks are 5-6. Moving on to the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 4-7 and might need to make a video about them. Maybe. We'll see. But Zion had 21, Brandon Ingram had 20, Nickeil Alexander-Walker with 12. He also had a 35-point game the other day. And JJ Redick had 12 off the bench. Anthony Davis was 17, LeBron James 21, Dennis Schroeder 12, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope with 16, Kyle Kuzma with 11 off the bench, and Montrezl Harrell with 16 off the bench. The Lakers continue to roll through this season. They're 11-3. The Pelicans 4-7. They win this one 112-95. Moving on to our next game, being the Los Angeles Clippers at the Sacramento Kings, blowing them out 138-100. Nicholas Batum was 6, Kawhi Leonard with 27, Paul George with 26, Reggie Jackson with 11, Marcus Morris Sr. with 18, Mann off the bench with 13, and Luke Kennard off the bench with 14. On the Kings side, Marvin Bagley III with 20, Harrison Barnes with 14, Rashawn Holmes with 17, and De'Aaron Fox with 14. And off the bench, Meadow had 10, and Hilburton, their rookie who has had a great season so far, only had 5. The Los Angeles Clippers win that one 138-100. They're now 9-4, and the Kings are 5-8, and that was it for the games. But the Clippers, that's how I expect them to play, all season long, especially Kawhi Leonard and Paul George scoring 27 and 26. That's what you want to see out of your two superstars, especially Paul George, who was kind of underperformed last season. So, yeah, that's a great win for the Clippers. And that's going to do it. All the games that were played / postponed. Good day for NBA games. It's always a good day for NBA games. Good day to watch games. Today, right now, is James Harden's first game. We'll see if he gets that dub. So far, he's had 13 points if I'm looking at it right. KD is going off. He had 29 the last time I checked. So that'll be an interesting game to cover. But other than that, the drill. Stay cool, stay safe. Have a good one.